a motion, if you'd state your name, please, and seconds, and we will go from there. We're going to start out, as we usually do, with the approval of the April 8th, 2020 council meeting minutes, and they've been in your packet since Friday. Is there a motion for those approval?
This is Travis, so moved.
There's been a motion by Travis, a second.
John, second.
Seconded by John. All in favor of the approval of the April 8th, 2020 City Council meeting minutes, say aye.
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 Those opposed? I hear none. Those pass 5-0. We have claims for payment tonight. I will question each council member for questions. We'll start with Rob with any questions.
No questions.
Jen, are there any questions from you? John, any questions?
No, thanks.
Travis?
None, thank you.
Any questions from Tim?
Yeah, just one, the Hawarden Chamber at 7,500. Weren't we going to cut that down this year or not?
That'll start the next budget year, which is July 1st.
Oh, okay. Solves that. No others.
Is there a motion for claims for payment?
This Tim moved.
Moved by Tim. Is there a second?
John, second.
All second.
Thank you, John. Seconded by John. All in favor of claims for payment, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Hearing none, that passes 5-0. Mike, I'm in the side room. We have to tell me if anybody's present for open business from the community.
There is no one present.
Okay, we will move on then to the mayor's report. We want everyone to know that the city staff continue to work and continue to follow all of the guidelines as they are put out. My thanks to all of the businesses and citizens that are also following all of the social gathering guidelines and guidelines for the businesses. Obviously, we're all in this uncertain time together, so please continue to call and check on your family members, friends, your neighbors, and fellow church members to make sure that they are safe and are not in need of anything. Please consider this quote: "Bad times will eventually pass, but your thoughts will last forever. Please stay positive." We're asking the citizens to please remember to fill out the census information and to send it in. This is vital for our community to have the correct census numbers. There are a number of economic grants and loans now available for businesses. Please contact our Community Development Economic Director, Larry Cope, for further information. And lastly, thanks to our city council members and staff for being available for our city council meeting, whether in person or electronically. I appreciate your dedication and your commitment to our city of Hawarden. We're going to ask for staff reports, and I said we have both Travis and Mike, and so we will talk with Travis first, please.
I've got some project updates. The transmission line work is continuing to terminate at the REC Hawarden substation. There's been some trouble with shipment of needed material. With that issue, our outage is being pushed back a week. It was originally the last week in April. Now we're looking more like the first full week in May. And as soon as we can narrow down that date, once again, we'll call the businesses and put it out on Facebook, Channel 10, and website. Wastewater work has picked up the last couple weeks with good weather. Al drained one side of the flow so it can be cleaned and painted. And once that's done, the aeration tubing can be installed. This work will continue into June, and then they'll start up that one side. And if they have a week of no issues, then they'll drain the other side and do the same work, but on the other side. So the project is right on schedule yet. Main Street project, I'd like to note that DGR Engineering had oversight on the paving project. They took weight tickets for the material, kept track of the asphalt temperature, ambient temperature, and monitored the condition of the asphalt throughout the project. The paving was completed on Tuesday, Sioux Commercial Sweeping completed the painting today. We could have used our staff, but we felt it'd be better to get the painting all done in one day while we had the street still closed. As of 4 p.m. today, it's open for use. We were able to wait for the right weather, so that gave us a really smooth finish on our top layer. We're happy with the work that Knife River did and DGR Engineering. Community center parking lot. We scheduled a pre-construction meeting next Wednesday to talk about the timeline and coordination between installing the pavers and the concrete parking. 3 parking lot lights have been ordered to match the ones that are on downtown. The parking lot's a large area, so we needed the double lights to give us the proper lighting in the parking. One more project, we have the south feeder will be going on this summer. Material has been ordered. Some of the wire had a pretty long lead time, but that shouldn't affect the timeline of the project. Dale with Carrie and Peterson will be in town next week to do the walkthrough, and they anticipate a late May, early June start time. That's all I have.
Good. Thank you, Travis. How about Mike, please?
Just a couple things. We called all our staff back to work this week. Many of them were already overlapping their weeks on and off while keeping their distances from one another. Playground equipment is still closed. Again, we ask parents to make sure kids are not going on the equipment. Plans for the swimming pool, we're working on those to see if it should or should not open or how that will work. We're waiting until May 1st when the governor gives her update, and we'll go from there. Probably the first week in May, we'll have to order the chemicals for the pool. So we're going to try to hold off as long as we can in case we don't. That'll be it.
Okay, thank you. Does the council members have any questions for staff or wish to have any comments at this time, please?
How about with the pool? This is Tim. I'm thinking that social distancing, we just won't be able, I mean, you know, everybody will be packed in a pool. I think we should just cancel that right now instead of, you know, I mean, it doesn't seem like it'll be practical. If people want to swim in the river or something later on, they can with their families, but there's no way we can social distance this summer in the pool.
As staff, we did look at that. We talked about that with the project that the dam is going on with it, the possible short season, the possibility of school starting early. We did look at that possibility and keep that on the forefront. I guess other people have an opinion that would be good to hear.
Hey, Mike, has Jacob been looking at the budget? Maybe any potential impact to revenues for this coming fiscal year yet, or is that kind of on the horizon?
I don't think we're going to really have any big revenue impacts for the city, or, you know, we budgeted so much for summer in the swimming pool, but the expenses far outweigh the revenues from those. So,
Okay.
so we wouldn't have any revenue impact at all from not either one of those.
Okay, I didn't figure, but wanted to ask.
Guess I'd like to wait until, see what the governor says May 1st and before we mix it all together.
Anything else from council? And before we start agenda item number 3, we're going to make sure that Jason will be on for agenda item number 5. Mr. Pullman will be available on Zoom when we get there.
Yep.
Okay. At this time, we'll move to agenda item number 3, the water rate study presentation. And Evan, I believe you're here with us with the Missouri River Energy. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. I'm here, and I plan to share my screen here and then run through a presentation of some updates on the water rate study, and then actually I have a couple slides at the end of some updates from the electric rate study. If you remember, I was actually with you guys back in January when we completed the electric rate study. Since then, we've had some discussion with Mike and Travis and actually made some updates to the rates that we're proposing on the electric side of things. So I'll show you those here towards the end of this presentation, and then also some comparison graphs that show the competitiveness of your electric and water rates on a combined graph instead of looking at them just individually. So certainly I'll run through this presentation here. Again, the bulk of this is going to be the water rate study. If you have any questions as I go through it, feel free to stop me. So I'll just kind of keep going forward to not take too much of your guys' time, hopefully. I guess I should probably confirm. Can everybody see my screen? Great.
Yes.
I can just figure out how to advance the screen. Okay, so the highlights hitting this, starting off the proposed rates, we're proposing 3 15% increases. Again, these are overall rate increases, so certainly there'll be some differences amongst rate classes and customer size. Looking to improve the fixed cost recovery, again, similar to as we looked at on the electric side, increasing the customer charges, again, recovering the fixed costs or helping to recover the fixed costs where those costs actually occur. Some of the reasons for the rate increases, probably well aware the water fund actually currently has no water reserves or no cash reserves, excuse me, and actually has about $235,000 at the end of 2019 outstanding due to other funds. So again, to get some cash reserves in there for future capital expenditures, several projects on the horizon could be looking at in the future in terms of capital expenditures. And then also kind of a phenomenon that we're seeing in several other areas that water sales are flat and even decreasing, as you'll see in a couple slides here, just due to conservation, differing water sales, things like that. And operating expenses go up every year. So combine those two together and you end up with a revenue shortfall. So and then we'll end it here with looking at your current rates. And again, they're really very competitive with area utilities on a standalone basis of water only. And then looking at them combined with the electric as well. We'll take a look at that. This slide here gives you an idea of the seasonality of the water usage in Hawarden. On the far left side is the beginning of your fiscal year, so that'll show July. And then as you go through all the way to the right side of the screen is June. So again, as you can see, almost twice the amount of usage in the summer months. Again, much of that is likely irrigation and things like that. A couple things to note, I guess, on the purple line and also the green line, you can see the impacts of what a wet summer will do to irrigation. So the kind of the bright green, lime green line there is last summer. And if you remember, with all the flooding and stuff that we had, there wasn't a whole lot of watering going on. So, 6,000 to 8,000 CCF less water usage in just the month of July. And that's similar what you see over on the right side in June too. So certainly the pattern of water usage is definitely affected by irrigation and summer usage. Then this takes a look back to 2003 and shows the water sales on an annual basis since then. Again, as I mentioned before, for a variety of reasons, water sales have really dropped. Again, this is what we're seeing pretty typical around several other utilities with water conservation. Appliances always being, more water efficient than the last. You see this, this pretty steep decrease water usage over the last 10, 15, 20 years. Back in 2003 to 2007 time frame, you're up to 200,000 CCF, and now you're almost half of that. So again, a decrease of almost 50% there. you hit a low point back in 2014, and then a couple years after that, you saw some increases again, likely due to varying business needs, some summer irrigation, and then the last 2 years in 2018 and 19 there, you can see it dropped off again. Again, likely due to a wetter year. But we're actually projecting here for 2020 through 2024, just some very modest growth, really to get you just, kind of back up to a more normal year instead of looking at such a wet year, but, assuming very little growth. And I'll show you here in a couple slides what the actual impact is, if we'd assume a little bit more growth, what that would look like on your net income. The study also did assume no additional customers. So again, your customer count would remain stable for all classes, residential, commercial, et cetera. This takes a little more deeper dive into the last 5 years, 2015 through 2019. Starting on the left side there, you can see the total pumped water versus then the amount that's lost in distribution lines. This column also can include things such as, meters, water usage that isn't metered. Sometimes some of the city facilities aren't metered, things like that. And then as you get into the fourth column there, you actually see the water sold. So again, back in 2015 and 2016, around 120,000 CCF per year, 2019 down to 102,000. So certainly a significant drop off even really in the last 4 or 5 years there. You can see 2020 then and 2021 through 2025, we're projecting again just a small increase there of about 0.5% in 2020 and then about 0.8% in 2021 before remaining flat after that. Going back to that distribution loss / other water use percentage there, you see that varies again. If there's a major leak or something like that in town, certainly that affects the amount you pumped out of the ground, but, did not end up selling later. So that's where that number is kind of variable there for several years. We've assumed that at 20% going forward. So just taking a little deeper look at observation on sales here. Again, as I've mentioned a couple times now, several causes for those declining sales. Water fixtures, dishwashers, all of those are really just becoming more energy efficient or more water efficient, that is. And again, it's a phenomenon that's been happening for a while, greater public awareness, commercial industrial requirements. They're always looking how they can lower their bills, use less water, reuse water that's available. And then certainly the weather conditions, like I mentioned previously in the last couple of years, having a wet summer, that certainly affects water sales as well. And then, expenses continue to increase as well, even if sales are falling or declining just with inflation happening. So again, that's part of the reason looking at the increases into the future here. Each 1% change in sales is about $2,900 change in net income. So that does include those three 15% increases. But again, a dry summer, you have a couple % increase in water sales, and certainly that can make a pretty big difference on the projections that we're showing. So then taking a look at the customers that use your class, just under 70% of total water is used by the residential class. Then breaks down much smaller after that. Commercial class, about 15%, some industrial customers around 6%. And then interdepartmental, public authority, and bulk customers are 5% or less. Taking a look at the cost breakdown, about 41% of the total cost of the water utility are employee services and benefits. Another 30% is other operating expenses. This is, minor repairs, supplies, maintenance, utilities, things like that within the water utility. Just under 20% is going actually back to build up your cash reserves and repaying that amount that is due, currently outstanding. And then about 10% is planned capital expenditures, keeping the system up to date. So then this year takes a look at the historical and projected net income. Again, looking back to 2016 and then out to 2024. In really pretty minimal net income in 2016 and 2017. 2018 and 2019, water utility actually had some pretty significant losses. We're projecting that again for 2020. And then really on the red bar there is under current rates, what that looks like going into the future. So, each of those negative net income really means the amount outstanding from the water fund is actually just increasing, by roughly that much. So under proposed rates, again, with 15% increase starting in 2021, that is fiscal year 2021. So it'd be July of this year, July of 2020, $12,000. And then you see that increasing through the study period through 2024 there. This slide then takes a look at what cash reserves are projected to do. Again, the red line there towards the bottom is current, a negative 242,000 in 2016. Essentially, water utility had no cash and had an outstanding amount due of 242,000. Remained pretty constant at that through 2019. Again, we're projecting, through the study period 2024 under current rates, that would continue to increase. That amount due to other funds would continue to increase to 321,000. Under proposed rates then, by 2021, the water utility would actually have some cash, about $11,000, and continue to increase through 2024, about $310,000. A couple assumptions that we've used with this. The water fund would also repay $40,000 per year to those amount due from other funds. So then by the end of the study period would be about $100,000 that the water fund would still tip back. So assuming the $40,000 per year, that total amount then that the water fund would owe be paid back in 2027. And then at the very top there in the orange line, you can see the target minimum. We've kind of looked at operating expenses and a couple months of that, and taking a look and see about $400,000 is really what we're looking at, a target minimum for the water fund to be having. Are there any questions on the net income reserves, anything like that, before I kind of move into the cost of service portion of the study? Okay, so hearing none, the next portion really takes a look at the cost of service. Again, really four major types of costs here. We have the base costs. That's about half the total costs. Are allocated. Really, these are the costs that are associated with the average day usage. Then the extra capacity costs then are the costs that are associated with more of a peak day usage. 14% for billing and collection, and about 2% are allocated to metering costs. Taking a look at those, that fixed charge, that facilities charge, the cost of service study took a pretty in-depth look at this based on meter size, all the way at the smallest of the 3/4 and 5/8 inch meters. That's what most residential homes have, all the way up to a 6-inch meter. And certainly there's different costs associated with serving each of those meters based on the flow allowed through those meters, and also the size of the meter. The cost goes up, based on the meter size as well. So the fixed capacity cost of a 3/4 and a 5/8 inch meter that we've combined together is about $5.31. And again, that increases in size as the meter size goes up based on the additional flow that is expected that could go through those meters during peak times. Customer service costs are about $5.30 per meter per month. Again, this doesn't really vary between meter size. Again, it's assumed that it costs the same amount really to bill a residential meter that it does a commercial meter. And then that third line there of meter costs, again, 80 cents per meter per month on a 3/4 8-inch meter, all the way up to about $18.40 on a 6-inch meter. So then cost of service is telling us that facilities charge on the smallest meters there is about $11.40. Your current charge for that is $10.80. As you go up to the 1-inch and all the way up to 6-inch meters, you can see that cost of service is really showing that there should be a much greater charge on those larger meters than is currently being charged. So again, currently you charge that $10.80 for all meters, no matter the size, no matter the customer. What we're actually proposing as part of the rate study and in starting to move towards the separating out the charges per meter is looking at a a meter charge of under 1 inch meters get charged one rate, and then meters over 1 inch charge get charged another rate. And effectively all residential meters are that 1 inch or under. So essentially they would stay at the lower cost, and then the meters over that 1 inch would be the 1.5 up through the 6 inch. And I'll also note that you only have a very few number of meters that are in that 3 through 6 inch meter size. And then at the very bottom of the screen there, you can see average of 52 area utilities that we kind of benchmark against what their customer charges, facilities charges per given meter size. So for the smallest 3/4 5 inch meter, about $15.50, and then for 6 inch all the way up to almost $400. Then this slide here actually shows the impact to, again, we've separated this out by residential and non-residential, essentially looking at the customers that have a meter size of up to 1 inch, and non-residential includes meter sizes of over 1 inch, and what that impact is on each of the customer classes there by year. So starting in July 2020, again, that 15% overall increase looks like 13.4% for the residential class and about 20% for the non-residential class. And that kind of follows suit then for the next 2 years there as well. At the end of this then, what the total cumulative increase there then is about a 52% increase overall for the water fund, just under 47% coming from the residential class, about 69% increase for the non-residential class. So then at the bottom of the screen here, that second block there, the actual proposed rates then, again, your current monthly facilities charge is $10.80. The meters up to 1 inch, we're proposing those go up to $11.50 in 2020, $12.20 by 2021, and then $13 in 2022. Those meters over 1 inch, again, currently at $10.80, proposing to increase up to $18 by 2020 and up to $30 by 2022 there. Again, based on cost of service, showing that the larger meters really cost additional to serve. They're additional, more expensive meters. The capacity to serve those meters is the larger as well. And then at the very bottom is the actual usage charge. So this is in per 100 cubic feet. So all usage is charged this no matter the customer class. Currently is $1.89, proposing to increase that steadily over the next 3 years from $2.27 up to $3.26 by July 2022. I know those percentages look pretty good or pretty big. So taking a look here actually at what the dollar impact is. So across the bottom here, the 0 through 10, that's total number of units. Typical residential customer in Hawarden is about 6 units or 600 cubic feet. So looking at there currently, they'd pay about $22.14. With the 2021 proposed increase, that bill would go up on a monthly basis about $3, 13.5%. In 2022, that'd go up about another $3.50. And then by 2023, that'd go up about another $4. So a typical residential customer then over the total 3-year period is about a $10, $10.50 increase per month. And this is the larger meters where they're seeing the additional increase on the meter size charge as well. So again, you're going to see the higher proposed increases here. And again, it kind of varies, stick to somewhere in the middle there with 60 units, about a $30 increase from 2020 to 2021. Another, I guess about $32, $33 the year after that, and then nearly $40 after that. Then here's some comparison graphs again, kind of looking at where you're at today, where we're proposing you to go next year, or in 2021, and then also in 2022 there, comparing you to the median. All the green utilities here are kind of utilities in the area, similar size, similar demographics as Hawarden. Currently, you're second from the bottom. This is a residential customer, I should say, using that 600 cubic feet, which is again the average in Hawarden. Currently paying about $22.14, about 47% below the median here. Again, we'd see that $3 increase next year, and then about another $3.50 increase the year after that. Still about 18% below the median. And Tim and the whole MRES staff has been working on a fair amount of water rate studies over the last several years now, and we've seen this kind of common trend of double-digit water rate increases. It seems like for several years there was nothing done. These pipes are in the ground, you don't see them. A lot of capital expenditures kind of get pushed off over the years, and now all of a sudden a lot of them are coming due. So certainly there's utilities on here that may also be seeing some large increases over the next couple of years as well. This is kind of modeling a commercial water customer. Again, that smaller 3/4 inch meter, but about 3 times the amount of usage. Again, very competitive right now, about 38% below the median. See about a 17% increase next year, and then a total of about a 37% increase the year after that, really butting right up to the median there. Again, this gets even a bigger water customer, and they're using the 1.5 inch meter, so they're also seeing the additional increase on the fixed charge as well on a monthly basis. Currently about 29% below the median, would move up to about 5% below the median next year, and then actually would be above the median the year after that. And one thing I will say about this customer, and again, we'll see a couple slides here in a little bit, looking at what this combined increase looks like, being offset by the electric decrease, and it looks a lot more manageable after we take a look at that. I think this is the last water comparison graph I have for you, but again, just even a larger customer here, currently about 26% below the median, moving up 22%, and then actually again to be above the median here. So then in summary, for the water side of things here again, looking at 15% overall increases beginning in July of this year, 2020, July 2021, then July 2022. Looking at separating out the meter charges, charging more for the meters that are over the 1 inch versus those that are under the 1 inch. Residential increase is increasing by about $10 per month, and that's the total increase from 2020 through 2023. So again, about a $10 increase over the next 3 years. And these rates, would really help reflect cost providing service, really moving towards cost of service here. Would also be well underway of repaying that current interfund loan amount due from the water fund, and also providing a kind of a cushion there with cash reserves to help pay for possible additional future capital projects. And then also at the end here, I noted that electric and water bills should still remain very competitive. And again, I got a couple slides on that here in a little bit. But this really wraps up the water portion of this, unless anybody has any questions. Okay, I just have a few more slides on the electric stuff, and then I'll let you guys get on with your night. So again, here's flipping over to the electric. As you remember, again, with some of the results on the electric side, we're looking at no overall increase there. But again, looking at some cost of service changes. So each of the individual customer classes here would actually see some rate changes. Residential class in the next 2 years, actually holding those, that class would see no overall increase. Again, proposing some cost of service changes, increasing customer charge, and introducing seasonal rates as well there. But overall, that class not see an overall increase. Small commercial class and the large commercial class, that's the demand build class, actually would both be decreases over the next 2 years. And then that interruptible class, as we talked about last January, actually eliminating this class, the customer in that class would move up to that large commercial class and pay the full demand rate that's in that class. And then the street lighting class there, just about 3% increases both years. So then what those rates actually look like here in residential customer charge is currently $13.65, proposing to increase that to $14 and then $15 by July 2021. to offset that, increase in customer charge, looking at decreasing the energy rate then slightly. It's currently 7.55 cents in all months. Again, we're looking at, implementing seasonal rates. So July through August, they would pay a higher rate. Again, this coincides with paying the higher demand charges that you're billed from MRES, and then a lower rate the other 9 months out of the year. So about a half-cent difference. You see about 7.9 cents in the summer months and about 7.4 cents in the other 9 months out of the year in July 2020. Kind of a similar theme then on the next 2 pages you'll see here. Small commercial class here, currently at $16.35, proposing to increase that up to $18 and then $20 after that. Then reducing that energy rate again to this class then would see the overall decrease. So from about 9 cents to about 9.5 cents in the summer 3 months, and then 9.2 cents in the summer 3 months by July 2021. Those then would see about a half-cent lower energy rate in September. Large commercial class, currently there is no customer charge. They are proposing that to jump up to $25 by July this year, and then up to $30 July 2021. Also increasing that demand charge. Currently that's at $4.98, much like the residential and small commercial class, breaking that out into seasonal components. So in the summer months, they actually pay a higher demand charge, again, coinciding with that higher demand charge you're billed from MRES in the summer months as well. And to offset the increase there in the demand charge, reducing the energy rate from 6.4 cents that it currently is to 5.7 cents and down to 4.9 cents. And again, these interclass rate adjustments here are really to balance out the cost of service and to better reflect, the variable costs where the variable costs are associated. And then the last class there, the interruptible class, again, as I mentioned, eliminate that class and just move that customer up into that large commercial class with the full demand rate and the same energy rate as well. So just 2 more slides here. This is the typical residential customer using 600 CF. Again, this is what we'd assumed above and some of the other comparison graphs, and also 950 kilowatt hours a month. You can see currently second from the bottom, about 20% below the median. Over the next 2 years then of increases, they would see about a total of about $7, just under $6.50 actually, on both the electric and the water rate. So about a 6% total increase there, and still 14% below the median. So again, as I mentioned, some of those water increases, they sound high. That 15% number sounds high year over year, especially. But again, when it's on such a small amount, that the actual amount kind of gets distorted in there. So taking a look at, total dollar impact here is about $6.50 on a typical residential customer per month in 2 years. Again, very competitive. And then this here is actually a kind of a small downtown business, something like that. 14,000 kilowatt hours a month, 2,400 CF and 1.5 inch meters. So that bigger meter charge. Currently they're about right at the median at $13 or $1,384 a month. They would actually see a decrease on their bill again, due to that lower energy rate that they'd be paying on that small commercial electric rate. And although that's, being offset by the increase that they're seeing on the water side, over the 2 years, they'd actually see about a 3% overall decrease in that class. Those are all the slides I have. If anybody has any questions, I can certainly entertain them. Any clarifications or anything like that. Hearing none, I guess I don't have anything else here. I do want to thank Travis and Mike again for all their work on gathering this and being able to put this all together quickly and reviewing it. It's certainly a lot of work and data that they go through as well. So I want to give thanks to those guys as well.
All right. Thanks, Evan.
Evan, thank you for your time on that and helping through those. It's been great to work with.
Yeah, you bet. If you guys have any other questions, again, feel free to reach out, or any additional scenarios you need to look at in the future, or if anything changes drastically, we're certainly always welcome and happy to help.
Yep. Thanks, Evan. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys. Have a good one.
Ladies and gentlemen, that then concludes the water rate study presentation by Evan. We appreciate his time and expertise. As always, we're trying to get each individual business entity on its own, so this is valuable information for us as staff and council members to ponder. Hearing no questions with that, I'm sure it'll be put on the agenda for further discussion. We will move on now to other agenda items. And agenda item number 4A is a public hearing and the proposed plans and specifications for the bids of construction for the seal coating. So at this time, I'll open the public hearing. Ask Mike if there are any public comments or anyone in the audience that have any questions.
There is none.
Anything that the council members wish to state during the public hearing at this point? Hearing no comments, we're going to close the public hearing. This leads us to resolution 2020-22, which would be approving the seal coating project with the road guy at $1.48 a square yard, a total of $74,000. Is there a motion for resolution 2020-22?
This is Travis, so moved.
There's been a motion by Travis. Is there a second?
John, second.
Seconded by John. Any questions with regard to this resolution? Hearing none, call for a roll call vote, please, for resolution 2020-22.
Bergstrom. Clocky.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Kurth. Tim.
Aye.
Belzak.
Aye.
If I counted right, I hear 5 in favor and no nays. Resolution 2020-22 passes. That leads us to agenda item number 5, a presentation by Jason Pullman, Hawarden Regional Health. And Jason, welcome to the City Council meeting.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, COVID-19 has really kind of created a kind of a crazy time for us. And there's a lot of funding opportunities out there for hospitals. Some of those are for like the payment protection program. And that's the one I want to talk a little bit about today. We were under the assumption that because we are a city-owned facility that we would not fall into this category. We also got some information from Davis Brown attorney that said that we might be, we could fall into that. And as things change daily with all of these funding sources, the verdict right now is that we more than likely do not qualify for the payment protection program. But we are encouraged to, or they are asking us to continue to fill out the application because they're still getting clarification around who qualifies from the SBA. So it's really a moving target. And so when we first initially heard that city-owned hospitals do qualify, then I reached out to Mike and I said, hey, maybe we should look into this. Ultimately, the payment protection program covers about 8 weeks of salaries for individuals and also utility bills and loan services for our debt. But right now, the way I understand is that we're not in the queue right now, but we're still waiting for clarification on that. I did talk to one of the local banks, and also provided the legal documents on their opinion, and got email and telephone call this morning about just applying for it and letting it sit there in case they do get clarification that we are able to get access to the payment protection plan. And I think that resolution is in front of you for that. Is there any questions or comments?
I direct one to Mike DeBryan in regards to our debt service. How would that impact us if it does?
Did check with Dorsey Whitney yesterday, and obviously since we own the hospital, and the hospital is city owned, that was a concern. They said that would not affect our debt levy, would not affect our borrowing capacity or anything. So there's no risk, even the way the resolution's written up to us, it would be a debt for the hospital.
Jim Pickner, have any comment legally for this? I know you probably put the resolution together.
Yes, I did put the resolution together, but beyond that, I think Jason said more about it than what I actually would know. I haven't paid much attention to that part of it.
Yeah, and it's like I said, things move and change daily about the interpretation of, can we enter it or can we not? And just today at about 3 o'clock, the lawyer that was saying that we would qualify confirmed that she believes likely we will not qualify, but still encouraged us to fill out the application and get the resolution, because things change almost daily in the federal government for these types of programs. And this last stimulus package roughly will be gone in about 24 hours. So it's really good to have your application teed up in case we are able to apply for it, because once, if you think about applying, you're not going to get it. So you got to be kind of in the queue, ready to go.
I call for questions from any council members.
Looks like the second round of legislation might have $10 billion for the rural healthcare providers. I don't know if that's an option if the payroll protection doesn't pan out.
Yeah, that is true. And they're actually going to be putting Hawarden Regional Healthcare on the do not qualified list. So to let the legislators know that, hey, we're a hospital, we are dealing with COVID-19, and we don't qualify.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. I know there's been a lot of discussion with Senator Grassley, Joni Ernst, and just trying to, put some pressure on them to make some clarification, and pushing pressure on SBA to create are we in or are we out? Because we don't know for sure yet. And I know that Davis Brown has sent many emails to the SBA trying to get clarification around that subject, but so far they have not seen anything yet. They are anticipating in the next 3 to 5 days a response from them, but again, who knows?
And Jason, is that all because you're city owned?
Yeah. And because we're city owned, we are exempt from a lot of the other things, providing 80 hours of paid time off for people. We're exempt from that. That's been kind of a hard pill for some of the employees to swallow. We did implement a quarantine pay. So ultimately, if they do get the COVID-19 and they're sick and they're out for testing, we're gonna supplement their wage and not take that out of their paid time off. And so we have, a little safeguard there for the employees, but that's just coming out of our pocket.
I'll make a motion to approve. This is Travis.
There's been a motion by Travis. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Seconded by Jen. I heard Jen there. Thank you. There's been a motion and a second for the resolution 2020-23, authority for the execution application for the payroll protection program loan and or grant and other assistance available for that resolution.
You ready for the roll call?
Yes, please.
Okay. Olson,
Aye.
Lockheed,
Aye.
Feldhacker,
Aye.
Berger, and Church.
Aye.
On a 5-0 roll call vote, resolution 2020-23 passes. Jason, thanks for your attendance with us at the city council meeting this evening.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Moves us to agenda item number 6 with no consent agendas on the agenda. Then moves us to adjournment. Our next regular meeting would be May the 13th. Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved. This is Tim.
Moved by Tim. Is there a second?
John, second.
Seconded by John. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Hearing none, we thank you again for your attendance tonight. The Hawarden City Council is now adjourned. We'll see you in person or on the screen on May the 13th. Thanks so much.
That works for me.
That I watched